that you'll never break. That risk they say don't ever take. That feeling that keeps you awake. You can't let it go. No, you can't let it go. That voice keeps screaming in your head.
Different meditation techniques or reasons to meditate.
Because they had toxics back then. They were cleaning the system out during the days of the pharaohs, okay?
Recognize each other's uniqueness at each, because God has a plan for both of you.
And I can have a baby and I can raise a child without you. That's kind of a shot at the male spirit.
Well, hello, it's showtime. Hello, everyone. It's Friday. It's April the 1st, April Fool's Day. I don't know if you had time to had a joke played on you, or when my project manager called me this morning, Diamante, I was hoping he wasn't playing. I was hoping that you was playing an April Fool's joke on me, but I hope you feel better. I know that you're under the weather today, so I'm on my own producing the show, you guys, so be patient with me. But I'm super excited because guess what? We had an amazing first event on Sunday. We had a celebration of Women's History Month, and I'm going to show you guys some of the amazing photos from our event. So just to show you some of the ladies that came out, we had a good time. That's Marguerite Mariama Moore, showing off our I Am That Woman retreat mask. The room was full. We just had such a good time. That is my neighbor who is also running for judge, Yolanda Sayer. You all, I hope you will support her. That's one of our youngest attendees that was in the room. That's little Miss Autumn White. And she came up and we spoke to her and had a really good time because she told us what she wanted to be when she grew up. And then we made some remarks and just did some things to pour into other women. And had an amazing time. My guest today, little Miss Ella Britton Gibson, she actually spoke, or she actually sung, and had an amazing time. This young lady joined us for the first time, and she recited a spoken word poem. So I'm just sharing a few photos. There's over 600, but you can go on our social media. Hopefully you've seen some of the things that we did and was inspired by some of the things. If you attended, I hope you had a good time, and I hope you will be able to come back to our next event because it was just absolutely amazing. That's Yolanda telling her story about coming to the I Am That Woman retreat, our very first one in 2018, and how it changed her mind about running for judge, and how, you know, she really was opened up. And when she came back, 21 different occurrences happened that impressed her to run for judge. And so she was sharing her story, encouraging all the ladies in the room to come to the I Am That Woman retreat, which is going to be October 26th through the 30th at the Hilton Marco Island. So we had a really, really good time, and I hope those who attended also had a good time. On to today's show, because it's not going to be long because we have some things on our agendas to do. But the incomparable Ella Britton Gibson, you know, I have some board members, you guys, that I can just call on in the spur of a moment, and they are there for the I Am That Woman movement, and Ella is one of those ladies. So I had a special guest today to talk about a couple of things that's going on that's hot in the news, and I'm at a disadvantage because I don't actually watch the news to keep my mind preserved. But from what I understand, everybody heard the slap all around the world when Will Smith got up on stage and smacked Chris Tucker and told him to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. as I was going to show the clip, and I was like, there's no one who hasn't seen this clip. And so I wanted to talk to a therapist about, was this really about Jada's hair? Was it about Will's masculinity? I've heard so many different perspectives on it, and I wanted to get a therapist's perspective. She will be back next week. So we'll be talking about that, but a couple of other things. Another thing that's been hot in the news is our one and only soon to be, I pray, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown. And I want to talk about, how all the attacks on Black women and what that means and how that has affected us in the workplace, how that has affected us as entrepreneurs. And right before I bring on Ella, I just want to share once again a little video clip about the I Am That Woman retreat, just for those of you who may not know what the retreat is all about. Take a look at this. All right, that is the I Am That Woman retreat promo video. Again, October 26th through the 30th. We already have ladies registering. Go to IamThatWomanRetreat.com and register. It only takes $300 for your non-refundable deposit. And then you'll be locked in, because I'm telling you, we are going to sell out and there's going to be a waiting list. So I hope you will register soon. www.IamThatWomanRetreat.com to register. Now, all that you've been waiting for, I posted it today, what we'll be talking about with the uncompromising Ella Britton Gibson. Hello.
Hi, Twyler. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you today, my sister?
I'm doing okay. I've had a very productive day.
Good. Good afternoon, Valerie. Thanks for joining us. I hope others will join into this, what I call very important conversation. So, Ella, you're an expert on all things Black women, because you've been in the marketing world for probably over 30 years now.
Hey.
I'm not going to date you. That's a good thing. That means you know what you're talking about.
Because I started when I was 2.
That's right. That's right. And but you are an expert in this field of our brand. And so tell us a little bit about who you are first and what you do. And then I'm going to bring that kind of full circle into today's conversation about the Black woman. Not only who you are personally, but even professionally, when it comes to, even our brand and how we represent ourselves and how brands represent themselves. We're going to talk about the slap, and we're going to get your perspective on why the slap happened. We're also going to talk about our hair, and I'm going to share a story about something that happened to a client that I just onboarded this week about her hair. And I don't think sometimes people really understand the Black woman and her hair. But
there's a lot of layers to that story.
A lot of layers to that.
Absolutely.
Right? So tell us who you are. Who is the most amazing Ella Britton Gibson?
Well, you know what? I accept that, because I believe that you are amazing as well. I am that woman. Women are amazing, all in our own individual and unique ways. So just real quick about me, because we ain't got that much time, because I got a mother to get to. Elder care is part of my life, but I'm happy to be here. So I'm going to start personally. So I have been married for almost 24 years to Paul Gibson. We don't have human children, but we have a big fur kid named Sam, He's a 115-pound American Bulldog, Sammy the Bammy. So that's my family in my household. I was born and raised in Chicago. I'm from the south side of Chicago, just like Michelle Obama. And I'm
Yes.
so proud to say that. And I love saying it over and over again.
Absolutely.
Also, personally, I attend Christ Universal Temple. That was
Yes.
founded by a woman, the incomparable Johnny Coleman. And that's all about a new thought way of understanding Christianity and spirituality, and understanding that good things are supposed to happen in your life because God wants good things to happen in your life. So it's a very actionable, action-oriented type of ministry that has made a big difference in my life and the life of my husband. And then finally, I sing.
Yes,
And
you do.
what you have to watch out for with Twyler, if you're close by and she knows that you can do something, she'll grab you.
I promise.
Because I hadn't vocalized in like a couple of weeks, right? And so I'm just sitting there. And so she's on the mic. She's like, Hella, can you please bless us with? So what am I going to say? What am I going to do? So it turned out okay. It was fine. So I'm a classically trained soprano, but I can do some rhythm and blues as well. So I'm actually happy. I'm happy with my personal life. Now, professionally, I am one of the leaders of a new cultural agency. Cultural agency meaning that it's not just about color, but it's about passions and interests and all of that, and connecting to consumers, connecting to their passions through culture, and then inserting a brand in the midst of that so that a brand becomes a natural and organic part of a consumer's life. And so that agency is called Agents of Slang. And that's a whole story behind it. That's a whole other thing. But we just officially launched in January. I am the CMO and COO of Agents of Slang. And everybody involved in Agents of Slang has really great experience, whether it's from other agencies or as being creators of culture, especially when it comes to music. So it's an exciting time, and we're having great meetings and writing scopes of work. It was an anxious type of journey for a while, but everything broke loose in a good way at the top of the year. And so it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So am I.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks for joining, Shy, Diva, Jim, Valerie. Thanks, you guys, for joining and join in the conversation. So
Yes,
Ella has
please.
given her personal and professional background. So I'm going to start off the story with what started off the water cooler conversation on Monday. And that was the slap that was heard around the world. And I found out about it because...
And it was Chris Rock, not Chris Tucker.
Oh, did I say Chris Tucker? Okay, Chris
you
Rock.
did.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in a meeting on Monday, in a client meeting at 9:00, and they started talking about it, I was like, wait, you guys. I had an event yesterday, and I got off of a plane at midnight, in bed by 3.
And you didn't know nothing about nothing.
And I didn't know anything because I came home and went to bed.
Right.
And so they told me what happened, and I was like, ooh. Okay, so what was this really about? So I tried to get another girlfriend to come on because she called me and to have the discussion. So Ella, did you witness it? Did you see
I did.
it? Okay, so you witnessed it.
Oh yeah, I watched the Oscars.
You watched it and you saw it happen. And what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, did I see that? Is that real? Is that part of the show?
No.
Because the network cut out the sound. So at first I didn't know if there was something wrong with our connection. And if for a moment it looked like it froze. It's like, what is that? And then it's like, did he hit him? Oh my God, he hit him.
Wow.
And then the motion got back to normal. And Will Smith, after slapping the out of Chris Rock, turned around, returned to his seat. And then I was able to read his lips when he said, keep my wife's name out of your blue, 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 blue mouth. I was like, oh, that wasn't part of it. That's real. And there was a slap, an assault just happened on the Oscars, and a whole bunch of people throughout the world saw it. So yeah, I saw it.
Wow. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
your initial reaction was it real? And then
Right.
once you realized, like in nanoseconds, said, yeah, that was real.
That
and
was real.
The assault. So did your mind go to first the assault that happened or why he did it? So was it connected to he said something about Jada and the joke wasn't funny and so
Yeah.
tell me. Okay.
Well, after I got over the shock,
right,
like everybody else, because everyone was in shock.
I'm sure.
Okay, so once the shock passes, then you try to understand what you just saw. And so because I have worked on beauty brands like Procter and Gamble, My Black is Beautiful, so I have a heightened sensitivity when it comes to African American women and their hair. 80% of us have some level of alopecia, and it ain't funny.
No,
There's so much regarding our self-esteem, our self-image, our self-love that is wrapped up in this. And for anyone, and Paul and I were watching at the same time, he doesn't have the same sensitivity. So he was seeing other things, but we're talking about me. So initially I'm like, no, that's off limits. You ain't got to do that. However, on the other side, for me, it did not warrant a slap in public. And Wanda Sykes does this thing, this routine about Black people don't do that. White people watching. They watching. There are things that need to stay private. I don't understand. No. What I would have preferred to see, if Will Smith needed to come up and express something, just come up on stage and say, dude, that ain't right.
Right.
My wife is dealing with such and such. Jada, come on up here and talk about alopecia. I would love to have seen him flip it. That would be great. But he was not in the emotional state to do that.
Yeah. So the therapist I was going to have today was going to talk about the emotional state, because I think that might be the part, and we're going to talk about it next week, although I don't want to drag this out, but there's a part that not necessarily has to be about what happened. Like, I'm not going to drag out what happened,
but why
around it. Right. Why did it happen? So, because I think there's a bigger issue, and some people are like, oh, Will's masculinity, and he finally just, whatever his emotional issues are. I even had kind of not necessarily an argument, but my stance was oftentimes I think there should be some things that are just not meant for comedy, right? We have freedom of speech. But my thing is, you don't know what they're going through at home, because you're right. While Jada has been very vocal about her alopecia, we as Black women, and
we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. And
we talk about it amongst ourselves, but not in front of a global audience.
Right. And there was a certain part, I will not ever condone violence. I agree with you 100%. I wish he had gone on stage and said, that's not funny, that's not right, and let's talk about the real issue. Because what we don't know is when we're behind closed doors and having those conversations, seeing his wife cry or seeing his wife having to deal with this emotional struggle, right? If 80%, and I'm in that 80%, of having to deal with alopecia, right? And what our hair means to us, I think it's very different than what it means to any other culture. So talk a little bit more about that 80% in our hair and what that really means.
Well, for any woman, when any woman of any color, when they lose their hair, it's devastating. I believe that it's even more devastating for Black women, because for us, lots of times it's self-inflicted because of the braids and the weaves and the wigs and all of that. So in chasing, and I'm speaking personally as well, in chasing some type of beauty ideal, we have hurt the beauty that we already have. So that's a different layer. And then we have generations upon generations of drama about our hair. If it's straight, you're better. If it's, kind of kinky and curly, get back, you ain't quite right. Now it's flipped, and our hair is a direct expression of our power.
Yes.
So for anyone to joke about that, it is insensitive. There are certain, now in a different room, in a nightclub or something like that, different crowd, drinks flowing, maybe.
Right.
But you have to pick the time.
Yeah.
What I want to say though is it does go beyond hair and the emotion around hair. It's what hair represents power and imagery. So if you attack it, you're attacking Black women. And this is something that you brought up as well. So if Will Smith took this as an attack on his wife, then he has the right to be angry. He also has the right to protect her. So the issue is, how do you protect her? Right? So in that moment, that's the way he chose to protect her. But he has every right to protect his wife.
That's what I said.
I don't believe, I've never met Chris Rock, and I have met Will Smith, and I have friends that know Will Smith. I don't have friends that know Chris Rock, but Chris Rock does not impress me as an evil person.
Sure.
I think that he just took it too far. And there's a history. Since 2016, there's been back and forth tension between the Smiths and Chris Rock because of certain jokes that he has said, starting with when that in 2016, they were boycotting the Oscars, and Chris Rock was saying, well, you can go ahead and boycott it because you're not going to be invited anyway. So starting from there, there's been a little, tit for tat. So this might have been a situation where Will was like, that's the last straw. I can't deal with this. Or it's a situation where it could have been a situation where he said, oh, no, you ain't going to hurt my wife. Because at first he laughed.
Right.
But then he looked and saw Jada's expression and saw that she wasn't laughing. So I like it when my man protects me. And Black women do need support. I don't know, we always need protection, but we need support. The issue is the way he chose to protect and defend and support was assault. Yeah. And that's not cool.
No. And we can never resort to violence. And I will say it a million times. I'm not condoning any type of violence. I'm not saying he should have. You said the
I
same
condone
thing.
violence if my life is in danger.
Well, okay, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
But in this case, life not being in danger, but certainly of what he felt like was a form of protection of his wife. And we even had some comments, and so
I saw those
comments and some good dialogue. And so and Jim Allen made a good point about so one of the points that Jim made was how his ticket prices went up, right? So
he was kicking off in Boston.
Went from 40 to 389. So
tickets sold out. This is the best thing for Chris Rock's career in a long time. Chris Rock handled it beautifully.
Did,
because you could see him talk to himself. He was thinking out loud after the slap, and after he was coming through his shock. He said under his breath, boy, I could. And you could see the wheels turning. And then he took a regal pose, that pose that you see dignitaries have, shoulders back, hands behind their back, chin lifted up, and he kept control.
Well, and to Jim's point, was Chris composed because he planned to disrespect Will and Jada publicly, causing a reaction. So to your point, because Chris had even done, the good hair was that like a movie or
Yeah.
something that he had came up?
Yeah, so he
came out with?
understood.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he respected the reaction, but not assault.
Yeah, I don't think he did expect that. So let's see a couple more comments that we got. Will Smith is something we abhorred, and that is black on black violence over words. Though the joke may have been personal and untasted, we should never resort to violence. We have high school girls fighting over what someone said about them, saying they doing too much. So that is true. And again, I will say that neither Ella or I are saying that the slap was the most appropriate thing.
No, not at all.
Why did he do it? And so here's another one. Twyler, for me, the slap has nothing to do with Jada's hair. If you research these three back in 2016, so what you were just talking about, when the Smiths boycotted the Oscars, Chris was the host. They were number ones upset with Chris for going forward with hosting anyway. And not only that, Chris made a few jokes about both of them while they weren't there. My opinion is Will have been waiting on a chance to get back at him. So thank you, Devlon, for that comment.
I think that is playing a role. However, I think what's also playing a role is there is a level of the man lost control. The man went up on a stage at the Oscars and hit somebody. It's not done. It's not done. So I don't think we have the right to tell him he didn't have the right to be mad. I can see whether it's because of the hair or because of the back and forth since 2016. Because here's another thing, guys. Just because when you are a celebrity, and especially when you reach a certain level of celebrity, there seems to be this thing that, well, we can talk about them. Their life is an open book. We can say whatever, So the comments fly. The insults fly, and if you're a celebrity, you're supposed to be able to take it. But celebrities are people, right? They're human beings. They might have, I don't know how many figures, 10, 12. I can't really count that high sometimes, but we have to factor that in. That they're still just people, and they gonna get mad sometimes when somebody disses them. And let me be clear, I'm a huge Chris Rock fan, but I do not agree with him, whether he knew about the alopecia or not. That hair thing is sensitive. G.I. Jane thing is sensitive. Some black women don't want to be assigned a quote unquote butch image. So he was hitting wrong on that end as well. It was just an ill-played, ill-timed joke, but it did not warrant him getting a smackdown, at least not on that stage.
Right. So let's talk about the attack on black women, right? So we've seen it not only through the I would say the very ill joke, because I don't think you should ever, whether it's freedom of speech or, as a comedian, I don't think anyone ever should have the right to attack someone about their mental, emotional, or physical well-being.
Yeah, because that's violence. People think about violence as only physical, but it's psychological, mental, emotional. If there's harm caused, it's violence.
Right. And so you don't resort with violence, but still there is an attack. So even in the U.S. Supreme Court nominations and hearings, we are seeing the attack that black women have to go through. And so are we a little insensitive? I mean, now if we know that was two black men and that's a little difference. But what is the difference and what happened on the Hill with those white men attacking this black woman who is educated, who has all the qualifications to become the next Supreme Court justice? No one got up and, of course, smacked them, but she had to keep her composure while she was under attack, right?
That's what black women do.
And let's talk a little bit about the attack on black women and why people feel like there is a freedom of speech on attacking black women.
This is what I honestly believe, Twyla. We live in a society where those in power are afraid that the people who currently are not in power will rise up and take their power. A lot of white men, and it's not monolithic, I'm talking about a power structure. Okay? The folks in power want to keep their power. It just happens to be that the person that is rattling the cage for the power is a Black woman. If that was a Black man, they'd be ripping them apart. They'd be ripping apart anyone that is not part of the power structure. So when it comes to not being part of the power structure, in marketing, we call it over-indexing, right? There's more of us and more of Hispanics, more indigenous people that are in that group that are not in the power structure. So it's not that these white men on the hill are like, I ain't gonna let no Black woman, blah, blah, blah. They're saying, if you ain't in our power structure club, you ain't getting up in here. That's what's going on. Mm-hmm. But what we're also seeing is this phenomenal, regal woman, so credentialed, not batting an eye and making those men look really dumb.
Yes.
Because that's what we do.
That is what we do.
And she will ascend to power.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. But that's really what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. It is, and there's a number of books about this subject, mm-hmm. you know? Mm-hmm. So that's what's playing out.
That is. And I would love to hear or see some comments shared about Ketanji Brown Jackson's and what you all's reaction were as you witnessed her hearings in the news and over the media over the past couple of weeks. And so just want to add a couple of more comments that's come in about this whole situation about Chris Rock. So something about this whole situation doesn't sit right with me. It still seems like something was set up or staged to bring a shadow over this awesome night of good African Americans. So if those of you who don't know, the Oscars were all
produced by a brother.
Produced by a black man for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Right? So speak to that, Ella. Was it a setup?
No, it wasn't a setup. No, because the people in charge of the Oscars were Black. The producer was the same person that directed Girls Trip. I can't remember the brother's name, but he's a fairly young brother in his 40s, I suppose. But his name is escaping me right now. So no, we had D Nice supplying the music. Yeah. The leaders of the orchestra in the pit were African-American men. Tyler Perry had some level of involvement with the production as well. Mm-hmm. No. It's not a conspiracy. The man lost his head.
Okay.
He lost his head.
To that, Chris Rock came out, the more classy guy. Mm-hmm. Will did the unthinkable. He didn't go and slap the dude Jada was intangible with. So
yeah, we understand what that means. That's the point. There are a lot of memes going on out there that make that same point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I have a girlfriend that says that Will Smith is just a narcissist. So that means that from moment to moment, he'll just be wrapped up in how he feels and what he thinks he needs to do to show out. So I don't know. That could be it too. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I just know what I saw. I just know what I saw, right, and what made sense to me, right, and what didn't make sense to me. And there are different stories that you can see. But Chris Rock, in my opinion, ventured into a territory that shouldn't be joked about. Yeah. I understand the anger that Will Smith felt, well, as much as I can, but I can put myself in that position. Sure. The issue is how it was handled.
how it was handled.
Period.
Celebrities, everyday people no longer control their anger. Violence is at an
Yes.
all-time high
That's true.
nationwide. Since COVID, our environment is considerably hostile.
Yep.
Mix that with alcohol that I think was involved, mix that with marital and mental concerns, leads one to conclude we all need to be considerably intentional and watchful about our words and reactions. A man was shot and killed Wednesday morning for doing what Will did. So absolutely, we have seen and witnessed. Even the airlines don't serve alcohol anymore.
Yeah,
right?
people
So
are on edge.
People are on edge, and I think
Yeah.
our mental, which is what the I Am That Woman movement is all about.
We need us some
Our
I Am That
mental
Woman. We don't need to be on edge.
Emotional wellness, because we
Right.
have to be so mindful about so much that's coming out at us.
Mhm.
And even the word tells us we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but it's all this that's out here. And even as a new thought believer, Ella, we talk about that all the time. It's like keeping your mind right, because
Gotta
your
keep
mind
your
is
mind right. Whatever is in your mind will manifest.
Yeah.
So within comes without. It's the way it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. A comment about what I brought up about our wonderful Ketanji Brown Jackson. Some white men can accept that we are as smart or smarter than they are. I experienced a lot of this in the Army, sometimes being the only Black woman at the table. So, yes, we have to experience. And Ella, you've been in some rooms where you were the only Black woman there.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened? One of the ladies, and I hope she don't mind me sharing this. One of our board members, Kathleen, shared in the board meeting that she just started a new job, and it is at a very prestigious place of employment. And when she walked in on her first day of work,
who did they think she was?
They thought that she worked in the cafeteria, and she was coming to be the clinical therapist or the therapist for the school.
As fancy as she is?
Yes, ma'am. And I know she didn't have on cafeteria clothes, because I know.
No, she's ultra glam at all times. People just don't know any better. And that's some unconscious, implicit bias stuff. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
They need some training.
They need some training. So that's what someone in the board meeting said. They needed some training.
They need some training.
So yes, Will Packer was the thank you, Devlin, who produced our show.
Yeah.
And temperance, man, we all can use a little more self-control. And that is the
count to 10.
All use a little bit more self-control. You know what? I really hope next week when our therapist is here that we talk about that and how we take care of ourselves. And that is what truly the movement is all about, and what the retreat does, because I think we just finished a meeting right before this, and it was
before this,
like literally minutes before our marketing meeting. And we were talking about how this is holistic for high achieving women. And we oftentimes have to go through so much pressure and restraint from our hair. When women are coming up talking about, oh my God, I love your hair. Can I touch your hair? And some of us are like, no. Like,
no, you can't.
You can't touch my hair. I appreciate that, but no, I don't want you touching my hair. I'm not a dog. I'm not one to be petted, right? And so, because our textures are so different, we can come to work and look different. I can have braids today. I take my braids out. I can put a wig on. I might have a different style the following week. It's a culture thing that some people it's hard for them to accept, that we are flexible and we're beautiful however we come. I just came back real quick, Ella. I know you have to go to take care of your mother, and I want you to do that. And I appreciate you accepting this last minute change on your schedule.
Of course.
But,
I've been talking about it all week, so it was okay.
Good. And so at the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit, one of the things that the new CEO of Essence said, and I'm not going to recall her name right now, but one of the things that she talked about was, she worked for corporate America for so long, and she was at Target, I believe, and she wanted to start being her authentic self. And so, she cut her locks off, and, so she went in with this style that was, and she was so worried about what everybody was going to think. The next week she came in, she had on some blue lipstick. And when I tell y'all, she came out on that stage being her full authentic self.
That's beautiful.
Gold boots on and some gold pants and blue hat, and a beautiful Black woman. And she's eccentric, and But one thing that she said was, as she changed to becoming more of her authentic self, her work was never compromised, that she
Right.
kept showing up, producing, and kept showing up doing and going above.
Probably got better.
Exactly,
She was
because she
being
was
true
freer
to
to live
herself.
in her true self.
Right.
So all the women out there, and men, because so many of our men are also now dealing with having their natural hairstyles and being in corporate America and what that means to be accepted. We've seen it on the courts. We've seen Allen Iverson when he first wanted to come out with braids. I didn't even know that story. But in basketball, we've seen what happened to Colin Kaepernick, right? That was because of his hair and wanting to take a knee and be his authentic self.
Right. I mean, there's legislation about our hair that we can't be just. The Crown Project led to legislation that we can't be discriminated against in the workplace because of that. Isn't that crazy? But that shows how important hair is.
It really
and it is a power statement. And when something is so different, and it is fighting up against the status quo and the establishment, you're rattling the cage of power. It keeps going back to power, and hair is part of that power discussion.
Hair is part of that power discussion, you all. So join us in the conversation about your hair. Have you ever had an instance where it was at work, out in public? Some of you all live in communities that aren't as diverse as others. So just share. Have you ever had an instance where your hair, the texture, that I know some of you on here oftentimes change your hairstyles. Has it ever been a part of your own experience with other people and people even outside of our culture? Has anyone ever had to defend you? Probably not with a slap, but have you had to defend yourself and about your hair? So I would love for you all to add into this conversation about our hair. Some people said it wasn't about Jada's hair. I say, well, it could have came to a head. We never want to condone violence. He could have handled it very differently. But I still think that there is a time and a place, and there isn't a time and a place where you attack somebody, whether it's about their physical, their mental, their emotional. But we also saw, I hate to even bring it up, but we also saw our former president talk about people attacking them for their disabilities, attacking Black women, Black journalists, demeaning women. I think it's unfortunate that we live in a society that is trying to be more acceptable of hurting people, but hurt people, right?
That's true.
Ella, any closing words? I know you have to go. What else would you share about either the incident, Ketanji Brown Jackson, just where we are in today's society and what we can do as Black women to stay the beautiful, powerful Black women that we are?
I'll take the last one. What can we do as beautiful, powerful Black women to remember that, to understand that innately, it's an innate thing that we are blessed with. Innately, we are all brilliant. Innately, we are creative. Innately, we are loving. Innately, we are powerful. Other people don't define that. God defined that. It's up to us to embrace that. And as long as you embrace that and believe that unfailingly and unceasingly, you will be that beautiful, Black, powerful, I am that woman. It's innate. Nobody gave it to you except the divine. It's your divine right. If you give it up, that's your choice. If you embrace it, that's your choice. And when you make that choice, you are choosing to live your best life. That is how you stay a beautiful, Black, powerful, I am that woman. How's that, Twyla?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yes,
This is
true.
why I knew who to call and who to ask.
Yeah,
You,
I was wrapping up a presentation. I'm like, what? Yeah.
you, my sister, are so encouraging, so
Thank you.
loving, so uplifting. Thank you
Thank
for being a I Am That Woman movement board member. Thank you for being so supportive of what we and our mission is all about, and that is pouring into each other. Thank you for always pouring into me, and thank
Sure.
you for just pouring into every Black woman who's listening to this, who will listen to this. I look forward to the retreat. I think I'm gonna play the video one more time just to remind ladies it is time to register. Thank you, Ella, for being here
Sure.
today. I know you got to go. I usually talk to my guests afterwards, but we've been talking all afternoon.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you no more.
I will
Bye,
see you and talk to
everybody.
you next week. Bye bye. All right, Ella was amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show as we talked a little bit about what happened on Sunday at the Oscars, as well as what's been happening on the Hill with Ketanji Brown Jackson. The attack on Black women is real. We as Black women have to stay strong and powerful, just like Ella said. So, just a few reminders. You guys know what we do every week. We make sure that you know how to start your day in mindfulness. So, join us for the morning mindfulness that is every Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 6:30, 605-313-5104. There's the access code 345235. We want to make sure that you know how to start your day in morning mindfulness. It's so important to start your day in prayer meditation. On Mondays, Dr. Portia Lockett is with us, and you will have the best day that you can have when you started off in morning mindfulness. All right, that's wrapping our show. I hope you guys enjoyed it today. See you next week when we will be talking about the attack on Black women with our therapist who's going to pour into us about how we stay holistically well, mind, body, and spirit. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Happy